This is probably the first live stream in quite a while. I think it's 2 years since I've done an actual live stream. And in that time, I got married. I had my first child, second child on the way. So, Baruch Hashem, a lot has happened. I'm going to try to answer all the many questions that I get here on YouTube. I get a lot of comments on my videos, a lot of comments. And a lot of people ask questions, and the question sort of gets lost just by the amount of comments. You know, people just saying thank you or Shabbat Shalom, and all these comments are obviously very, very much appreciated, but the question sort of gets lost. And just due to the fact that I have so many videos on here, I miss the questions. And I actually started this channel to help people that is either converting to Judaism or people that is Baal Tshuvas, people that is returning to their Judaism, meaning they were born Jewish and they are now making a return. And I feel that I haven't really given them the answers that they deserve because of the amount of comments. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. I'm going to try to do this every Sunday. I picked this exact day and this exact time because this is a time that should work for me and also a day. So it will be every Sunday at 9:30, B'ezrat Hashem, with the will of God is the direct translation of B'ezrat Hashem. And we'll see how it goes, because at that time my wife is already sleeping, my son is already sleeping, so then I can dedicate an hour to get through some of these questions in the comment section of my channel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter my comment section so that it shows me only questions asked and questions I haven't replied to. So if you've asked a question and someone or I answered it and you asked another question on that question, I wouldn't be seeing that question. So you're going to have to put a new comment on. That's how it's going to work. And that was just some of what's happening here. I'm not sure if I can actually see the live chat. I'll try to see here, because I'm obviously going to screen the screen at the back here. So there's quite a few people on already. And just confirmation that the sound is good. Thank you. Stavros Mitchell. And Anonymous saying Shavua Tov, Happy Hanukkah. Shavua Tov means good week. Shavua Tov and Chanukah Sameach. Have a joyous Chanukah. We're on the 4th day today in Israel, because we already lit the 4th candle. If you're watching this in America, most of the people that watch this channel, according to my analytics, is from America. So they might still be in the 3rd day. So they're not yet at 4. And yeah, it's been very good, this Hanukkah, because now my son is old enough to, walk around and he can participate. We bought him like a little Chanukiah that he can also light. And yeah, it's been very special. We had a very big Shabbos. I posted a picture of it in my community tab section. I received a lot of comments there, a lot of likes. So thank you everyone. I didn't have time to respond yet to all of those likes and comments. And I'm planning to make some time after this to also do that. But I do see all the likes and all the comments. So thanks a lot. It was a very, very nice meal. We had 10 people over. So it was quite a big table. And we had, for the first time in a while, we had quite a mix on the table, because normally we mainly have religious people over in Israel, and I told my wife that we should start to get some people that's not religious, so that we can return to something that I used to do, which is kiruv, at the Shabbos table. So that is what we have started again. And for me, it's actually more interesting to have people there that's not religious, because then you get questions that people don't normally ask you. So the one girl said at this Shabbos table, so I was explaining the concept of a Baal Tshuva. A Baal Tshuva is like a convert in many respects. You know, the fact that they don't know a lot about Judaism, that they're just discovering their Judaism, starting to learn more. So converts and Baal Tshuvas often relate. They also often get married to each other. So I was explaining this concept, and she asked me, why is it called a Baal Tshuva? So a Baal is like a master, Baal Habayit, the master of the house, and Tshuva is return, or we say Tshuva is return. But Tshuva is also an answer. In Hebrew, she speaks a bit of Hebrew, so she's made Aliyah also from South Africa. So she said, but Tshuva means an answer. So someone else at the table answered and said, yes, because that is basically like the answer to a question. It's like if you ask a question to someone, what comes back to you is the tshuva, is you get a response from that question you asked, which is quite a nice way to explain Baal Tshuva, meaning you went away and now you are returning. So it was very interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, that was my Shabbos / Chanukah table. So let's get into this comment section. I'm going to just filter it first. So like I said, I'm going to filter it to only comments that contains questions. So if you do have questions, then pop it in here. I did make a post and say put your questions below, but practically I'm not going to do that every week. So I'll answer the question from that post. So someone did ask a question and asked, how can you stay dedicated, focused, inspired on prayer? Because in Judaism, we pray 3 times a day. So we have the morning prayer, Shacharis, then we have the midday prayer, which is Mincha, and then we have the last prayer, which is Ma'ariv, the evening prayer. And the prayers are tied to the korbanot that was brought. Because it says in Hosea that instead of bringing bulls, we will bring our lips. That's where it comes from, this concept. There's other opinions that it comes from Avraham, that Shacharis, Yitzchak, that Mincha, and Yaakov, that Ma'ariv. But if you get down to practical halacha, it's based on the korbanot. It's based on the sacrifices. So we pray 3 times a day. And we say the same thing over and over again, because it's every day, 3 times a day. And what many people find is when you knew you were Baal Tshuva, you just made your return, you're just discovering your Judaism, or you're a new convert, you just started converting, you just discovered Judaism, then obviously your prayer is quite good because everything's new, everything's fresh. So the essence of that question that was asked is, how do you actually get that freshness, that dedication to prayer? How do you get it back? Or because I'm sure if you start out, you will be inspired by the prayers just because it's new to you. The reason you are uninspired by it, or that you lose your kavanah, your dedication to it, is because you get bored by it, to say, in such a way. So what my chavruta, I pose this question to my chavruta, which I learn with every day for an hour. We're doing the Mishnayot program, which I posted here before, but It was just too difficult to edit and to maintain anyway. But we're still doing that. And I asked him this question, and he told me the best way that he found was you have to try to find something new in the prayer. So focusing on a sentence and, get a chidush, get something new out of the sentence. And that's the way you get inspired. I have a slightly different take on it. Every time I pray, it says you should remember in front of whom you stand. So remember that when you're praying, you're not just reading what's in the Siddur, what's in the prayer book, but you're actually speaking to God. So if you know that you're standing before God, you're speaking to God, and you know that God exists and God can help you and He's the one that provides you with everything, then I think prayer becomes a little bit easier. So I think you should use both these concepts. Number one, remember in front of whom you stand. You're praying to God. You're not just reading what's in your prayer book. I would say that's number one, and that should be your main focus. And then if you still feel, yes, but I've said it so many times already, I get a little bit bored by it, then you should try to read books on prayer. So I have a book here which is from Rabbi Schwab on prayer. I'll show it to you quickly. This book is considered by far one of the best books on prayer. As you can see, it's quite thick. And there's like a whole section just on what we call God, the name we use for God when we pray. And he has a whole thing just on that, pages just on that. So you could use that to better connect to prayer and to stay dedicated. And always remember, you've got these sections where you can add your personal prayers. So you should definitely utilize that. And it's also said in Halakha that you shouldn't say the same prayer more than once. So that means you need to add something in that personal section that is slightly different from how you would normally pray. So that's what I would say on prayer. And just quickly see if there's any questions on the live section, and then do the comments thing. So Jeep R, again, I'm not great with names in general. So I'm gonna do my best here with the names, also in the comment section. And if I get it wrong, shlicha, mechila, forgiveness, and pardon me. So he's saying, good to see you, well in these times. So there has been a lot of questions also in the comment section, how we are doing here in Israel with a war with Gaza. We also have in the north with Hezbollah, a few skirmishes, and then obviously in Judea and Samaria, we're having a lot of operations there, which is pretty normal for Judea and Samaria, which some people call the West Bank wrongly. It's very much part of biblical Israel. So we're doing well, Baruch Hashem, as you can see from my posts. We have the rocket sirens every now and then. I live in the center of Israel in Renana, so we have a lot less sirens than, for example, people staying in the south, close to Gaza. So Ashkelon, Sderot, all the kibbutzim that's close to the south. So they obviously have it a lot more, but we do have the Iron Dome system that shoots the rockets out of the sky. And last but not least, we do have Hashem that keeps us safe here in the Holy Land. And I can tell you, for all practical reasons, we are continuing as normal. We understand there's a war going on. We're obviously praying for our soldiers, and the hostages should be returned soon in our days, and all of that. But, if you let these terrorists not live your life because of it, then they won. So I'm going to work normally, we're having Shabbos, going to synagogue normally, going to minyanim normally, I'm learning with my chavruta as per normal. You know, life continues, life goes on. Some people say it's war fatigue, you know, people get, like you're so on the war, you get tired of the war and you just start to move on. I wouldn't say that's the case. We do know there's a war going on. We hear the rocket sirens, we hear rockets going off, and it's very much part of our daily life. On my Shabbos table, for example, before I started, I told people, you know, what you could do if the sirens go off. There's a bomb shelter at the bottom of the building. You can stand in the stairs of the building because the elevator is made of reinforced concrete, so it's like a bomb shelter. In my family, we do not run for sirens. We actually go to the window, but that's obviously not advisable. But the reason I do it is to show to my wife and to my son that we are not afraid of these terrorists from Gaza, and Hashem protects us. The chance of you being hit by a rocket is extremely low. So people say you should make your efforts. Okay, but the chances of a rocket hasn't landed in Renana forever. So I'm not gonna ruin my Shabbos or my life by a statistical something that wouldn't happen, statistically speaking. The same like with Corona, which I think I made my views clear when it was Corona. Just reading some of the lives, if there's no comments or questions here, which I will try to answer first. So there's one comment here that says you cannot use Hashem and the Iron Dome in the same sentence. So you can. We see this actually in the splitting of the sea. God says in the Torah that when he split the sea, he brought a wind. And then it says the sea split. Because Hashem, what Hashem does is, he hides it in things that can be explained naturally. So there can be people that says, it wasn't Hashem that split the sea, it was the wind. It's obviously clear that it's Hashem. But there is a chance, there's people can say that it was done by the wind. That's why the Torah puts in the wind. And you'll see in all the miracles that you see in the Torah, there can always be a natural explanation for it, because that's the way that God did it. I'll give you another good one, Chanukah. So why do we celebrate Chanukah? So I also edit videos for the Renana Community Kollel. I'll post a link if I do edit this live stream ever, then I'll put the link to that channel, but you can just Google or go on YouTube and search Renana Community Kollel. I edit videos for them as well. And Rabbi Horowitz made a video about this concept that I'll try to explain in brief, but it is 14 minutes, so I'm giving it the very short version. So why do we celebrate Chanukah? Number one, the reason most people know is because a jar of oil was found that was pure and it lasted 8 days. That's why we light 8 candles for Chanukah. Okay, that answer everyone knows, or most people would know. But what we're actually celebrating is the military victory over the Greeks that suppressed us. They tried to destroy the Torah. They defiled the Beit HaMikdash, the temple. That is what we are celebrating. This is now according to the Rambam. So why then do we attach the celebration to the oil? Because the military victory over the Greeks, people would say these were very good warriors, even though they were Rosh Hashivas. They were old men that basically study Torah all their lives. They weren't exactly the best warriors, but they defeated the Greeks. There was only 13 of them. So obviously a clear miracle. But people can come and say that they were lucky, they had a good battle. I don't know how you would explain it, but there could be a way to explain it. So often Hashem hides the miracle. Esther, also in the Megillah, Esther wasn't her real name. Her name is Hadassah, the Queen Esther, as many people know her. And this word, Esther, sounds a lot, it's got the same root as Hester, as to conceal oneself. That's also why God's name doesn't appear in the story of the Megillah, even though it's clear the whole Purim story is from God. So you can definitely mention it in the same sentence. You shouldn't say it's the Iron Dome protecting you. You should say it's Hashem protecting you through the Iron Dome, if that is what you meant. So Armin Gashemi is asking a very good question. He or she, I can't see the picture because it's very far away. How many books do we need to study for Orthodox conversion? How many books did you read for your conversion? So as you can see, I do have a lot of books. But if you look at my videos when I started this channel in 2017, just before I finished my conversion, I had a bookshelf the size of this one here at the back next to the flag, but it had very few books in it. The only books you really need to convert, and I made a video on this before, but I'll say it out now again. The only books you need is the Chumash by Art Scroll, the Stone, I think it's the Stone edition or something like that. You need the Art Scroll Chumash, Stone edition. You need the Tanakh. So the Tanakh stands for Torah, Nevi'im, which is the prophets, and Ketuvim, which is the writings. So you need the Chumash, which is the 5 books of Moses. You need the Tanakh, which is the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim. And you need a book called To Be a Jew. That is what you should start with. Then you need a book that will teach you halakha, that will teach you how to live as a Jew. Now, the book that's often recommended is Sharei Halakha. Sharei is gates, the gates of halakha. And the reason I don't really recommend this book is because a lot of the opinions in that book is no longer followed or isn't followed. So it's very difficult for you then, because now you're learning a certain law which you teach yourself to be, this is the law, and then later on you discover that this is no longer the law. So you get confused. You start not to trust the book. So I would say you should get the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. It's the books that's there on the screen. It's 5 books. Me and my wife is learning Shabbos law, so one of them is actually in the front. But that is those books there, you can see on the screen. That is the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. What's good about that set of books is it's all the halachot that you need to know, all the Jewish laws that you need to know, with notes at the bottom from the Mishnah Berurah, which is the Chofetz Chaim, who lived 100 years ago, which is, we call him the Posek Achrona, the final verdict. And it also have notes there of Igros Moshe, from Rabbi Moshe Feinstein of blessed memory, from America, who is also very authoritative, and he comments on a lot of modern issues. People say he had the shoulders of giants. He was a very small man. I have his book also here, Reb Moshe, which you can actually see in the background a little bit, but I'll get it out. Which is this book here about like his life story, who he was. If you read this book, you'll understand who Rabbi Moshe Feinstein of blessed memory was, the giant he was. So, but that's what you need. Chumash, Tanakh, to be a Jew, and Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, which will give you the laws so that you know how to live as a Jew. Now, you would also get that in the conversion program. So that's why I'm like hesitant about the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, because you should be taught that by a rabbi so that you can ask him questions, because you read it says this in the book, but you see this done. But if you now want to study a little bit by yourself, then I would say that's the books to get for conversion. And then I just want to add to that, so why do I then have so many books? Because I have finished conversion already in 2017, which is 6 years ago. I started in 2011, and I like learning, and I learn about 3 to 4 hours a day. And when you start out, you need to know how to live as a Jew. But later on, you go into more depth. So then you get to the question, why is it like that? Why do we do this and why don't we do that? Why is this opinion saying this and this opinion is saying that? What's the difference between the opinions? Where does this come from? From the Torah. And where is it mentioned in the oral law? And how did the oral law extract it from the Torah? And how did the Rishonim, what did they say about it? And what did the Achronim say about it? So a little bit more depth, I would say. That's why I have so many books. And you know, Judaism is vast. There's a lot of books. The oral law takes 7.5 years to complete if you read a page every day. That's how vast the oral law is. We complete the Torah every year. That's just the Torah. That's without all the commentaries on the Torah. Rashi, Ramban, the Balaturim, the Orach Chaim. You know, you go on and on and on. There's a lot to learn. It's a bottomless pit. It's as deep as the oceans, is another analogy from the prophets. So I've got another question here. It seems we're only going to do the lives today because there's a lot of questions, and I didn't do a live for 2 years. So there's a lot of questions here on live, and since you all are here, I think you should be answered first. Although the comments was technically first, but you are live in the live. So Disco Spaghetti, very interesting name, is saying first, congratulations on the second child that's coming soon. B'sha Tova, we say. B'sha is in the hour, Tova is good, in a good hour. Thanks a lot. We are looking forward to have a brother for Azrael. Also to have the grandmothers over to look after them. Did you find it more difficult finding a spouse as a convert? Also a very good question, and a question that many people don't deal with, but most definitely. There is a concept in Judaism called yichus, meaning your descent, your pedigree, if I can call it that. In Hebrew it's called yichus. You also find it among born Jews. Yichus is important in religious circles. Most converts that turn out like me, black and white, it's an important concept, yichus. So you will see that all the big rabbis, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky of blessed memory, I made a video on my channel about his life. He was the giant of the generation in the Ashkenazi world, and he died a few years ago. May his memory be for blessing. That's the Zatzal. So you can see who he married, who was the father. You'll see it's all other big rabbis. So even a a born Jew that wasn't religious, like a Baal Tshuva, also struggles to find a spouse, a shidduch we call it, because of this concept of yichus, of pedigree. I would call it like a chain of transmission from father to son. So what people want, religious people want, for their children is that they would marry into a religious family, meaning the mother and father is religious, the child is religious, the chain, the transmission of the Torah is good. A convert doesn't have that because the mother and father isn't Jewish. So they do not have this yichus. The same problem for a Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva also, because they were not raised religious, they do not have a mother and father that were religious. So they have the same problem with yichus. So it is more difficult, most definitely. And it is what it is. Me and my chavruta, I'm going to mention this because we learn an hour every day, so we have a lot of content from there. So a chavruta means a study partner. It comes from the word chaver, a friend. Make for yourself a friend, as it says in Perkei Avot, in Ethics of the Fathers. So I'll give you another thing with converts especially. A female convert cannot marry a Kohen. She cannot marry a Kohen. A male convert can marry a female Kohen. But a female convert cannot marry a Kohen because of a similar problem. Not exactly the same problem, it's not a yichus problem, but these other problems there, and I think it's not for a live to go into those details. But it's in the oral law, it's in the Shulchan Aruch, in the codified book of Jewish law, and there is many of these issues. Also, if you were born Jewish from a religious family and you were divorced, maybe through no fault of your own, then also you're going to have problems getting married again. If you have children and your husband died, lo aleinu, then also you're going to have problems getting married. So I wouldn't be very stuck on I'm a convert, it's difficult for me. There's a lot of Baal Tshuvas to choose from. A lot, unfortunately. They should all be religious. But there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of converts. So I married a convert, and my chavruta is a convert, and he married the daughter of a rabbi. So again, don't let it hold you back. So it exists, but take my chavruta as an example. He's a convert, and he married the daughter of a rabbi. So there you go. Okay, how much of one's dressing does a convert have to change? There's also from a Disco Spaghetti. Achlan is asking a question about, did I see a rabbi on Al Jazeera? So I did not. Disco Spaghetti is asking, how much of one's dressing does a convert have to change? Depends on how you are dressed now. So dressing is about modesty. And also remember that you are representing God in this world. You are like a good way that I heard, a good explanation is, you are like a diplomat for a country. So there's a country, let's take Israel. There's a country, Israel, and you are a diplomat for this country and various other countries. So you always have to look good, presentable, elegant, because you are presenting the Torah to the outside world. Also, inside your house, you can dress as you like. There's various factors to consider there, but you can dress as you like inside your own home if there's, people can't look in from windows, Also depends on the age of your kids, because you've got to start chinuch, educating your kids. So there's various considerations. Speak with your rabbi about this. But outside you should look a certain way, because you are representing the King of Kings. And that is why you dress in a certain way. There is also the concept of modesty, that you need to be modest. This is probably more relevant for women. So like the one rabbi says, you shouldn't look like shmata. Shmata is Yiddish for, you shouldn't look like a rag that you clean the house with. You don't have to look ugly, but you don't have to look like a model as well. So, and there's various laws in regards to modesty. So you got to cover under the elbows. For women, there's opinions that says you can show the elbows. Some people consider it nakedness. You got to cover the clavicles, these bones that come from your shoulders, connects to your sternum. I'm in medical zone. But the bone that's in the middle, that your rib sits on, and your shoulders, this bone here, it's called the clavicle. That cannot show. You got to have a dress below your knees, obviously showing no other flesh in between that. And for men, there's actually also modesty. So, although you do see men going to the beach without the shirt on, most people would say that's not allowed. So, again, you should consult your local Orthodox rabbi. I can tell you how we dress. So, how me and my wife is holding. So, I dress always black and white out. It's what I wear, because that is like the uniform for this King of Kings. Black and white is like a religious, people know black and white is religious. Also then it avoids other issues like women wanting to greet you by hand or hug you or stuff like that, because they can see visually this guy he looks very religious. My tzitzit is hanging out. Various opinions on that. Kippah obviously on. That's outside. Inside the house, I often wear casual clothes. Obviously not on camera, not on video. There's no videos of me like this. Or no videos that's published that's like this. They're like family videos, but not public videos. Or photos for that matter. My wife always covers her hair. I made a video on my channel about the importance of covering hair. My rabbi is extremely against wigs. I made a whole video about it where we go through all the sources. So no wigs. We cover with a cloth. She covers with a cloth. And she obviously never has clavicles showing. Elbows is always covered, dresses below the knees. Most people would call us Charedim. The name means those that tremble at the name of Hashem. I'm not sure if we're holding at that level. We are Chardal. So you get Charedi, those who tremble at the name of Hashem. And you get Dati Lumi, which is Dati is religious, Lumi is national religious, also called modern Orthodox. Then you get something in between them, which is called Chardal, which is also mustard. The word in Hebrew for mustard is also Chardal, from a mustard seed. A very big tree can grow, because there's jokes about it in Israel. Anyway, only Israelis will really get these jokes. But that's where I think we are holding, personally speaking. So how much of your dress do you need to change? Depending on what you look like now. But what I gave you, what me and my wife does, that is, I would say, the basics of modesty. So Stavros Mitchell is saying living in a non-Jewish community and a Chem English student, I think it's chemical engineering student, how to maneuver to Judaism. Do I need to move to Israel? Do I leave my desired profession? Not sure if Israel has petrochemical industries. We do definitely have petrochemical industries. We do make petrol, yeah. So the industry exists. Whether you be qualified according to Israel is a different question. But let's tackle your question from its ikar, from its core. So let's make the question general for everyone. So if you're living in an area that doesn't have Jews, but you're living in a country where there is Jews, then my opinion, as someone that has finished conversion in South Africa and had a lot of problems with my wife with converting her in Israel, I would highly suggest that you convert in the country where you are from. Nikuda, point. That is finished. If you do not have any Jews in your country, then you have a big problem. Because to convert in Israel is not easy, number one. Number two is you need to be connected to an Israeli. My wife was connected to me. I was already Israeli at the time. That's how we did conversion. And obviously, there was 7 rabbis at my wedding. So we had a little bit of, we call it in Israel, protexia. We had people that knew people. And she passed the Beit Din with flying colors, knew all the questions. We learned together long distance for a year, every day for an hour. So, and we just did halakha, just Jewish law, every day, except Shabbos and Chagim. So she could be a rabbi. So yeah, that's what I would strongly suggest. There is no real good answer for someone that do not have Jews in their country. I do have a video of Rabbi David Ben Nissan on my YouTube channel where he does conversions not recognized by the state of Israel. And even in that video, he says he cannot convert you if there's no Jews in your country. Because a Jew cannot live in isolation. A Jew needs other Jews. So you can watch that video. I also made a video with the Rabbi Tradbergs from Machon Milton, who did my wife's conversion, recognized by the state of Israel. And I made the whole video, recorded it. I must edit it. It's going to take quite a while because I'm very set on finishing the Torah, as you've seen, uploading the Torah, and also making sure it's in the actual parasha, the section of the Torah that we are doing in Israel, because I actually also listened to it on my way to work and back. It's very good for my Hebrew. Also calms me down, I've noticed. So I did record that, and he's going to say something very similar. There is no real good answer to someone that's living in a country, unfortunately, Nebuch, that's living in a country without Jews. I ask him this question also, so you'll see what he answers. See if his answer makes more sense. But there is people that come to Israel, obviously, on visitor's visa. You've got to leave after 3 months because your visa expires. You've got to come in. You've got to keep on applying with the State of Israel's conversion program. It could take years before you accept it. In this whole time, you need to fund yourself. It's expensive in Israel to live. So again, I am working on that video, and it will be a lengthy one. I'll break it down into smaller sections, but it's a difficult situation. So Armin Gassemi is asking, the books I mentioned for conversion, is it easy to understand or is it difficult to understand? So it's very easy. It's got Hebrew on the one side and English on the other side. You can also get it in Russian, in Spanish, and all these other major languages, German. Any major language, you can get it in that language. So very easy to understand. It's definitely not difficult. So Robin Mertz is asking, what book would you recommend for studying Kabbalah? So I made a video on my channel about Kabbalah. What is Kabbalah? No book is going to teach you real Kabbalah. That's the short answer. There is no book that will teach you real Kabbalah. Kabbalah is given over from master of Kabbalah to a student. To learn Kabbalah, you need to know the entire Torah, the entire oral law, the entire Shulchan Aruch, by heart, by most opinions. You need to be 40, married with a son. This is the minimum criteria. Then you need to find a rabbi that will teach you Kabbalah. That's how you learn real Kabbalah. If you want to get a taste of Kabbalah, then there's Sefer Yetzirah, Sefer Bira, Sefer Bahir. I think I also have it here at the back. So I have them here. It's also in that video, a little bit more detailed, but this is Sefer Yetzirah, and this is Sefer Bahir. All is by Aryeh Kaplan, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, which obviously writes in a very easy style. But again, you're gonna learn Kabbalah probably like Madonna learned Kabbalah, because she must went to a Kabbalah center. So all these people that says that they're going to teach you Kabbalah online, or says they are a Kabbalist, all of them are not Kabbalists. They do not know Kabbalah, because this is taught in secret, by the way. So, and Kabbalists, real Kabbalists, do not reveal themselves ever. You cannot, they don't put posters, come and get a bracha and pay me this much money for a bracha, for a blessing. This is fake Kabbalah to make money and to fool the people, unfortunately. So the way to learn Kabbalah is to finish the entire Torah, the entire oral law, the entire Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch, get married, have a child, a son, and be over 40. And then find a Kabbalist. Stavros Mitchell is asking, I understand the need for the Talmud. Talmud is the oral law, Jewish oral law. But since I was a Christian before, I have some discomfort with it. How can I find rest in the Tanakh of its justification, or that it was given by Hashem, B'ezrat Hashem? So I made a video about the Talmud. You should watch that video. That video tells you exactly what the Talmud is, what the Talmud is not. And the Talmud is based, the oral law is based on the Torah. You would see it in the videos. I made a video about the page layout of the Talmud. And you'll see next to the actual, what is actually considered the Talmud, you'll see the notes of where this appears in the Torah. The Talmud always refers back to the Torah. The oral law refers back to the written Torah. So you should watch that video. I think that would clear up all the questions you might have on it. But we do believe, obviously, that the Torah was given, the written Torah was given together with the oral law on Mount Sinai, because most of the Torah does not make sense without the oral law. The word Tosafot, for example, a common example. Tosafot, which is tefillin, which you put, you shall bind it as a sign upon your arm, and it shall be tosafot, an ornament between your eyes. It doesn't say what to bind, it just says the word tosafot. It doesn't say where to place it. Everywhere, anywhere in the world, wears boxes, black straps. No one changes the color. Everyone uses the exact same parchments. Jews were dispersed all over the world. Still the same thing. So, how? Why are we doing it like that? Doesn't say it anywhere in the Torah. Show me in the Torah where it says how to make the tefillin. The same with the Brit Milah, circumcision. It says you should remove the orla. This is orla in Hebrew. No one cuts the ears. Why not? There is orla. Torah says you must cut the orla on the 8th day. Cut this. No? Lama lo. Why are you not doing it? There was a tradition passed down orally from father to son until the destruction of the Second Temple, where Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the head of the Jewish people at the time, decided to write down Mishnayot, the essence of the Talmud, the oral law, so that it will not be lost. And that is why it's today in written form. Otherwise, it would have still been father to son. And obviously, this includes now rabbis. Rabbi would teach the student, and so the tradition would continue and would have never been written. So, boots of Og. Would you, these names, I just can't. Would you recommend another country than Israel for the converting process? Convert in the country that you're living in. No country, no Beit Din would accept you to convert if you're not from that country. I think it will be very difficult because they will always ask the question, why did this convert not convert in the country they are from? Jews are naturally very suspicious, especially of converts, because there is a lot of fake converts. Missionaries, Christian missionaries, is what have made conversion so difficult. If it wasn't for Christian missionaries, it would have been a much better time. But no, that is what it is now. So convert in the country you're from. Can you show me Reb Moshe's book again? I certainly can, since it's very close. This is from ArtScroll. Just go to ArtScroll, type in Reb Moshe. It's in English, and it's so good. Whew. If you see the life he lived, and where he was from, and how he fled, and how he learned. So, I'm not sure if you know, but in the Ashkenazi world, we do not have this fascination with rabbis. You get, sometimes in the Hasidic world especially, they go meshuggah now, they go completely crazy over their rabbis, dead or alive. Similar, I would say, with the Sephardim, but already to a much lesser extent. And then you get the Ashkenazim. But it's very good to read about these people. Why? Like, if you read the book of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein of blessed memory about his life, and you then read Halacha, a Jewish law, which is Igros Moshe, where it's tshuvas, it's answers he gave to questions that was written down, that appears in almost all halachic volumes. Then you know the person you're dealing with here. You're not dealing with a shul rabbi or even your rabbi. No matter how great you think your rabbi is, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein of blessed memory was much, much greater than your rabbi can be. And your rabbi will say that, definitely. And the same with the Chofetz Chaim, who wrote the Mishnah Brura and the Biur Halacha and many other works. So that's the importance of studying who these people are. Not to idolize them, God forbid, which unfortunately many Hasidim, a certain sect is definitely going this direction. Not to do that, God forbid, but to learn who these people were, and then when you are doing your own learning, or you hear opinion of this particular rabbi, then you know who you are dealing with here. It's not just the opinion. And he said something, it means there's something behind it. There's some meat on the bones. He's not just throwing you a bone. These big rabbis didn't speak a lot. They also didn't write a lot. So if they said something and used certain words, there's a reason they did that. And many people spent many days and many hours just on the words they used. Obviously, I'm not close to that level, but I'm just telling you the extent of where it goes to. Oh, Stavros Mitchell is also just pointing out that it's his first time on the channel. He's asking, is there any online material I can use as a guide to begin learning to pray that you recommend? Online material. I would say get the book. I would say get this. If you really want to get prayer, like Jewish prayer, you should get this book. Or you can just get the Art Scroll Siddur. I use this one for my, when I'm davening, yeah. Or this is the most, people will recognize this a bit easier. Because this is now Hebrew on the one side, English on the other side. Because this has a lot of explanations. This is the prayer book of the Jews, called the Siddur. Siddur is like arranging something, seder. So at the bottom, there's like many comments of what it is, where it comes from. You have at the bottom here where it's written in the Torah. So I would say even just get this, the Art Scroll Siddur, and then just work it through and read all the notes. And you can get a lot of value just from that. So that's what I would say. I'm not sure, don't know. I can't think now of an online resource I would recommend that I have listened to that I think is good. And it's often better to just learn from the book. That's what I've seen. So Disco Spaghetti is asking, what have you found to be the most difficult and the most fulfilling thing about being a parent? First of all, the bracha, the blessing, to have gone through the whole journey of conversion, and later on my wife did the same. We got married, and we have a child that is Jewish, born Jewish. I did his bris on the 8th day. I must still make the video about that. I did a pidyon haben, redeeming the firstborn, which is also a biblical mitzvah. Not many people are able to fulfill this mitzvah because of various reasons like miscarriages and law lane, God forbid, but miscarriages and other things that could have happened. So Baruch Hashem. And to see that the things that we are doing, like Havdalah, at the end of Shabbos, I have a video about that, Kiddush, that we do when Shabbos starts, we sanctify the day, Kiddush. For him, this is how he grows up. He doesn't know Christianity, Baruch Hashem. He will know of Christianity because of, friends, family members. Obviously, my story is quite public. So he will know of it, but, he grew up Jewish. He's going to grow up Jewish. He's growing up in Israel, so he will learn Hebrew as soon as he starts kindergarten. So he'll be fluent in Hebrew. So it's a bracha, it's a blessing from God to have a child, to be able to teach the child. And I think all parents want their children to be better than them. I think that's the goal. And I think the goal is not to push that too much, but to teach your children as the Torah commands. Mitzvot, Torah, oral law, Jewish law, connect them with a good rabbi that will teach them, will shape them. You also showing them the way you live, how important it is to live a life of Judaism, connection with God, His Torah, and the sages and the land. Oh, one of the questions was also, what's the most difficult thing about being a parent? I think it's just a bracha. It's just a blessing. There's obviously, there's the normal things that parents complain about. But I have no complaints. No complaints, to be honest. People say you sleep less. I sleep little anyway. There's sometimes noise or this or that. No, it's a child. It's not an adult. So, no complaints. Nothing's difficult. It's just blessings, just a bracha. Truth Ethio View is asking, did I become an Israeli national? Am I an Israeli citizen? Yes, I made Aliyah, moved to Israel in 2019, and when I landed, I was an Israeli citizen. That is the whole concept of making Aliyah. I have a video about it on my channel, the benefits of making Aliyah, where it's a little bit better explained in more detail, and you should watch that video. But yes, I'm a citizen, my son's a citizen, my wife's a citizen. We're all citizens of the state of Israel, Baruch Hashem. Blessed be God. Then there's some internal conversation going on, which I like to see also, by the way. It's good that my subscribers or listeners is also chatting and helping each other. I've seen it a lot on the comment section also, by the way. And I must just say that there's a lot of people that help out on my comment section that often answer, and I feel there's nothing for me to add. Boaz is a very good example. There's a guy on my channel called Boaz. I think it's spelled in Hebrew. And anyway, he answers a lot of the questions. Very accurate. There's a guy, Jonathan. Either Jonathan or Yohanan. I'm not sure now. But he fact checks a lot of my videos, which has been also very helpful. I've removed a lot of videos after his comments. So it's like a community, you know what I mean? So you commenting and saying things makes me think about what I said in the video. Did I say it? Maybe I didn't. If I have a lot of questions about something specific, then I obviously know in the video I didn't address this question, because otherwise there wouldn't be so many questions on that particular issue. So it's much appreciated, and it's always good to see that it's not just me having to give the answers, but there's a lot of people helping out. We're already over time, yeah? But we're very close to the end of the questions on the live stream. And then next week, we're going to do it again. And then hopefully we're going to get to the comment section. But it's also good just to have the session and that we can connect a little bit and answer a few questions. I think that's about all the questions here. And we are already over time. So I promised my wife only an hour. And I'm going to try to stick to this hour. So obviously I will be answering questions on the live first. And I think also to make it a bit shorter, if there is a video about it, next time I'm just going to say there's a video about it and you should watch that video so that we can get eventually to the comment section. And there's so many comments, you don't understand, on the comment section of my channel with questions that I do want to answer. So we're going to continue that, Be'ezrat Hashem, with the help of God, bli neder, without a vow, next week, 9:30 Israel time. As you see, we'll be doing it for an hour. If you have an urgency to have your questions answered, then you can leave a super thanks with your question, and then that question will be answered first, or a super chat. Then obviously that will also be answered first. The last question I'll deal with here is because I already read that question when I was deciding to close this chat, this live stream, which is also from Disco Spaghetti, who is asking, what's it like living in the land of Israel? I think it would initially be surreal. So, almost like the child question. It is a bracha. It is a blessing to live in the land of Israel. That is the short answer. This is the land that many people dreamed about living in. Big rabbis, not talking about, regular people. I'm talking about big rabbis dreamt to come here. Many of them died coming here. For those that have been following me for a while, know that on the Chumash, on the Torah, the main commentator that I follow, his direction, his hashkafa, his way of belief, is the Ramban, Nachmanides. So I have his section of books. I'm not sure if you can actually see it in this video. Because it's below, yeah. So those books are his commentary on the Torah. Just all those books are on the Torah. So he writes extensively. He was actually one of the last known Kabbalists as well. And in the English, interestingly enough, they do not translate his Kabbalah. Why not? Because in his introduction, he curses anyone that's gonna do that. So, which I also found very straight to the point. So the Ramban lived in Spain. He was also a doctor. So maybe that's also why I like him, the whole medical background. Medical people think alike, I've discovered. And so he has a very technical view on the Torah, and his interpretation is according to Peshat, according to what is written. He doesn't get involved a lot in Midrashim, which I have a video about. You can watch the video about Midrashim. And he often challenges Rashi. So most people learn Torah with Rashi, which was a rabbi that lived 1,000 years ago, a wine farmer in France. He actually comments a lot on Old French. That's how I make that connection. And wine farming, France, known for wine farming. So he writes extensively, Rashi. He's also a linguist. But he mainly brings Torah interpretations from Midrashim, which I do not like. I like Peshat, the literal way of reading it, because I'm at that level. And that's why I like the Ramban, Nachmanides. Nachmanides lived in a similar time period, about 100 and something years after Rashi. He always brings Rashi, and then he brings the Ibn Ezra, which he calls Rabbi Avram, which is the name of the Ibn Ezra. So when you study the Ramban, you get Rashi, you get the Ibn Ezra, and you get the Ramban. But why am I telling you this now? Because the Ramban, Nachmanides, made Aliyah, before there was a state, obviously. This is now going 900 years back. He moved to Israel. Remember that time there was no flights. It was a very difficult journey. This place was a swamp, Israel. People died here of the swamp. So malaria, mosquitoes, malaria. And he actually died in Israel. Also, very interestingly, in his commentary in the Torah, which already written by that time, he edited some of his comments. And he said, I am now here. There's a comment example where Rachel died. Rachel died on the way. So Rachel is the last wife of Yaakov, the one that had Benjamin. So she died in Israel. And first he said it was at a certain spot. Then he moved to Israel and he corrected himself. He said, no, he's now been here. He's in Israel now. And this is where it's at. Which is also amazing, you know what I mean? So yes, it's obviously amazing living here. It's a big blessing. People say, yeah, but there's war and rockets and terrorists. There's more people dying in South Africa of murder than the terrorists here can dream to kill. And there's also the country that removed their ambassador, South Africa. Meanwhile, back at home, there's a lot more problems. made a post, like a photo about it, because I just found it so funny. Anyway, guys, girls, it's been a pleasure to hang out here on this live session, the first one in 2 years, which went over time. And next time we're going to try to keep it to an hour. Next time we're going to, instead of giving a whole answer, if there's a question that has already been answered with a video, I will just mention the video. You should search for that video on YouTube. Type in the title that I mentioned, The Jewish Convert. You will find it there. And then hopefully we're going to get to the comment section. So any video of mine that you watch, if you have a question about that video, it would be great to put it there. If it's not about that video, but a question in general, pop it in there and I'll eventually answer it. B'ezrat Hashem, with the help of God, Chanukah Sameach and Shavua Tov. Have a great week.